Okay, for the Wells Fargo's introduction and backgrounds. Wells Fargo was established in 1852. Henry Wells and William Fargo founded Wells Fargo and Co. to serve the West. The new company offered banking, buying gold and selling paper band draft as good as gold and express rapid delivery of the gold and anything as valuable. Wells Fargo opened for business in the gold rush port and of San Francisco, and soon Wells Fargo's agent opened office in the other new cities and mining camps of the West. In the boom and bust economy of the 1850s, Wells Fargo earned a reputation of trust by dealing rapidly and responsibly with people's money. In the 1860s, it earned everlasting fame and its corporate symbol with the grand adventure of the Overland Stagecoach Line. Wells Fargo's delivered business by the fastest means possible, whether it was by stagecoach, steamship, railroad, pony rides, or telegraph. In 1858, Wells Fargo helped start the Overland Mail Company, the famed Battlefield Line, to meet the demand for speedy communication across the West in the West. In 1861, Wells Fargo also took over operation of the western leg of the famed, but short-lived, Pony Express. In 1866, Wells Fargo combined all the major western stage lines. Stagecoach bearing the name Wells Fargo and Co. rolled over 3,000 miles of territory from California to Nebraska and from Colorado into the mining regions of Montana and Idaho. It After the completion of the Transcontinental Railroad in 1869, Wells Fargo increasingly rode the race. In 1888, after expanding along the new steel network across the northeast into New York, Wells Fargo became the country's first nationwide express company. It adopted the motto "Ocean to Ocean" to describe its service that connect over 2,500 communities in 25 states and over the sea. To highlight its lines linking America's increasingly global economy, Wells Fargo rushed customer business from the urban centers of New York and New Jersey through the rail hub of Chicago and farming regions of the Midwest to ranching and mining centers in Texas and Arizona, and to lumber mill towns in the Pacific Northwest. Wells Fargo agents in towns large and small offer basic financial services like money orders, traveler checks, and transfer of funds by telegraph. Always thought wherever there was mining from Alaska to Arizona, Wells Fargo got the gold. But by 1910, the company's network linked 6,000 locations, including new offices in the upper Midwest and Great Lakes regions. It was in this town that the famed Wells Fargo and Wells Fargo wagon delivered goods of all sorts from a Great McNow to some grapefruit from Tampa, as the song from the Music Man goes. By 1918, Wells Fargo was part of 10,000 communities across the country. That year, however, the federal government took over the National Express network as part of its effort in the First World War. Wells Fargo was left with just one bank in San Francisco. For the innovative solution, new banking concept not only where people bank, but how the bank drive up tellers, banking by phone, express lines, credit card, automated teller machines, and online banking are some of the innovative solutions to modern customers' needs. As in the stagecoach day, Wells Fargo has been a pioneer in bringing banking convenience to its customers. Uh, through the 20th century, Wells Fargo rebuilt from just one office in San Francisco. From 1905 to 1923, it was a premier downtown San Francisco institution. Expanding in 1923 to two marble banking halls, where Fargo's was a bankers band that served the entire West. In 1960s, property Wells Fargo became a Northern California regional bank with branch office everywhere people live and play. From the coast to the mountains. In the 1980s, Wells Fargo expanded into a statewide bank and became the seventh largest bank in the nation and launched its online service. In the 1990s, Wells Fargo returned to its historic territory throughout the western, midwestern, and eastern states. Today, in 21 21st century, with extensive and diversified financial service, the Wells Fargo name once again extends ocean to ocean, over the seas, and of course online.
Assalamualaikum and selamat sejahtera. My name is Muhammad Syafiq Syafiza Biraza and my metric number is UDE 200204. Today, I want to present Auditing 1 Assignment Question B. The question is the effect that companies, which is Wells Fargo that we choose, face from the fraud. So, today I am going to talk about negative effect on Wells Fargo management. The bank fired approximately 5,300 employees between 2011 and 2016 as a result of fraudulent sales and discontinued sales quota as its individual branches after the announcements in the fine in September 2016. Johnny Shrewsbury, the bank's CFO, said the bank had invested $50 million to improve oversight in individual branches. In November 2016, the Office of the Comptroller of the Currency levied further penalties against the bank, removing provisions from the September settlements. The bank utilized a clawback provisions in as-stamps contrast to tax back $28 million in his earnings in April 2017. The bank also experienced decreased profitability in the few quarters after the news of the scandal broke. However, the bank announced it would close over 400 of its approximately 6,000 branches by the end of 2018. By the way, in May 2017, the bank announced that they would cut costs through investment of the technology while decreasing reliance on its sales organizations. I think that's all for on Wells Fargo management negative effects. Thank you.
My name is Kwaijan and I'm from section 3. My metric number is UDE 200146, and then I will discuss about the negative effect of financial on Wells Fargo. Okay. Other than affecting the management, this fraud also impact Wells Fargo financially as well as the consumers. On September 2016, the CFPB fined Wells Fargo about 100 million for the widespread illegal practice for secretly opening unauthorized accounts. The order also required the Wells Fargo to pay estimate 2.5 million in refund to customers and hire an independent consultant to review its procedure. And then this additional cost that Wells Fargo had to endure it, okay, and 6.1 million, $6.1 million in customer refunds due to inappropriate fees and charges, and then $142 million in customer compensation due to a class action settlement. $480 million settlement for a shareholders class action lawsuit, and another $575 million for 50 states attorneys general settlement for a combination of opening unauthorized account and charging for unnecessary auto insurance and mortgage fees. And for the customers, the fake account had hurt their credit score. The bank was able to prevent the customer from pursuing legal action because the opening of an account meant that customer enter private arbitration with the bank. And then the bank agreed to settle for $142 million with consumers who had accounts opened under their name without permission. So the fraudulent fees were repaired and the damage to those affected was also paid.
Greetings to our respective lecturer. My name is Gloria Kerurico from Section 3 and my matrix number is UDE 200202. I will be talking about the last part of negative effect of the fraud that had happened in this company. The fraud has influenced the non-managerial employees. They face intense pressure, and some describe frequent crying, vomiting that caused by a high level of stress, and severe panic attacks. There was a case where an employee consumed hand sanitizer to cope with the pressure. Some even said that the call to the company's ethics hotline were either no reaction or terminated employees from making the call. Moreover, the Wells Fargo branch-level bankers faced difficulty to gain employment because the other banks issued U5 documents, which is the Uniform Termination Notice for Securities Industry Registration, to the departing employees, which contained a record of any misbehavior or unethical conduct. Then, Wells Fargo issued a defamatory U5 document to the bankers who reported the branch-level malfeasance, saying that they had been complicit in creating unwanted accounts. However, the defamatory U5 document was not even appealed, so after that, Wells Fargo created a special internal group to rehire employees who had left the bank but were not involved in the scandal.
My name is Mira Hosanna, and I'll be presenting about the component of internal control that could help avoid the fraud in case of Wells Fargo. The first internal control that could help avoid the fraud in the case of Wells Fargo is control environment. Control environment is the action taken by the management to deal with issues. In Wells Fargo, the thing that happened is Tom, the CEO of the Wells Fargo, put pressure to the employee, to the manager, to ensure that existing customer of them open 10 bank accounts for the priority of the company, not the consumer. It depends on it's for the sales of the company, not for the importance of the consumer. Therefore, the management have a really high pressure, top-down pressure from top level of management to open as many accounts as possible to do with cross-selling. Therefore, the management put pressure on the employee, and there is a statement shown that one of the employee of Wells Fargo said, "The environment inside the office of Wells Fargo is like pressure cooker. It's really so pressuring." Therefore, control environment is the neglected internet control that should be carried out in Wells Fargo company in order to escape from fraud. The second one is risk assessment. Risk assessment is the process of identify and analyze of the risk that could prevent the company from achieving its objective. The risk assessment could be related with the need of the sales from the CEO, which is the CEO demanded a very high sales, and they want each customer like open about 10 as the maximum bank account to increase the sales. But when the CEO put this demand, the CEO didn't take count of the risk that could happen. Just like now what happened, the risk is the company employee cheated. Just to ensure that they have a very high performance, they receive bonus and they receive incentive from every opening of bank account. They could get a very high performance and they could get bonuses. So they thought a little bit of cheating in opening the bank account will be fine. The third one is control activity. Control activity is action taken to minimize the risk identified. Control activity in Wells Fargo can be read like an employee should not have the authority to open bank account. The authority to open bank account should be with the manager. If this process have been carried out in Wells Fargo, each employee of the Wells Fargo can be able to open the company or can be able to apply for a credit card for the pre-approved consumer without the consent. Therefore, these are the three control activities that could avoid the fraud in case of Wells Fargo. Thank you.
Assalamualaikum, my name is Kashfil Azim bin Abahamad from UDE Section 3. My matrix number is UDE 200203. And today I will talk about the current situation of Wells Fargo. Wells Fargo is currently hit the rock bottom in their history, and one of the current situation that they have to face is penalty box with Fed. Wells Fargo is being pushed by a 2 trillion asset cap imposed by the Fed. Those unprecedented section prevents Wells Fargo from growing its balance sheet at a time when growth is absolutely necessary because interest rate at a rock bottom. Okay, for your information, banks makes money off the spread between interest charge on loans and what is paid out on deposit. But currently, the spread is very narrow for Wells Fargo, and it's very challenging for them to make money. And one more to save the current situation is Wells Fargo needs to lend money, but due to the asset cap, they cannot lend any money. So the chief executive of Wells Fargo have said that he felt like these constraints have limited the bank's ability to offset the pain of low rates, but he didn't blame the Fed, which has refused to lift the sanction because he thinks it's Wells Fargo own mistake for it being like this. Secondly, Wells Fargo is still settling disputes with their customer. Currently, the bank is still paying for the price for its history scandals in the form of customer refund and legal settlements. Wells Fargo have admitted that the worker opened millions of fake account and credit account to meet unrealistic sales goals. The bank also admitted that they have forced their customer to pay for auto insurance that they didn't need. But currently, the new management have in work to done a new review and taking more generous view for the customer. Next, I will talk about the Wells Fargo deep dividend cut. For this problem, it's not involved the company, but it also involved the employees and the shareholders. Because currently Wells Fargo is expect to slash its dividend cut by 80%. It is far more than it had been anticipated, and Wells Fargo earnings eroded sharply. That needs a future action, and it will be a bigger problem currently if the Fed didn't lift up their imposed asset cap, and it will be a much worse situation for Wells Fargo. And Wells Fargo dividends will not only shrink this year, but it will shrink even more in the future, or more specifically in 2021 and 2022. And lastly, I will talk about the Wells Fargo branch closing. It is a strategy for them because in early October 2018, they accelerate their new branch closing strategy by closing 26 branches in their other location. But before the early October, and it was in the end of 30th of September, Wells Fargo already closed 45 branches in all over US. And from the time between 2018 until 2022, they will have over 900 branches that will be closing down due to the fraud that they have committed.
Hello and Assalamualaikum. My name is Muhammad Azri Firdaus bin Muhammad Amirwan, and my matrix number is UDE 200179. I'm here today to explain about a conclusion. As a conclusion, and as an auditor, we should check carefully until found the mistake or fraud to make sure it was presented in true and fair view. Fraud can make sure some organization get down easily, same like Wells Fargo Bank that we discussed. They are the example of what fraud can make Wells Fargo Bank going worse. Number 1, Wells Fargo Bank still in the penalty box with FED. Number 2, Wells Fargo Bank has a deep dividend cuts by 80%. Number 3, 45 Wells Fargo Bank branch have been closed at 30 September 2018. But if Wells Fargo Bank do some internal control, it can save their organization. Some component internal control that could help to avoid fraud in case of Wells Fargo is: number 1, control the environment. Number 2, risk assessment. And last, control activity. However, the fraud in case of Wells Fargo is: number 1, control the environment. Number 2, risk assessment. And last, control activity. However, the fraud need to reduce for public do a decision making. An auditor should have integrity in performing audit tasks and should not hide the fraud and error from public. Need to reduce for public do a decision making. An auditor should have integrity in performing audit tasks and should not hide the fraud and error from public. An auditor also need to disclose the information which is very useful. Thank you. That's all from me. An auditor also need to disclose the information which is very useful. Thank you. That's all from me.